So welcome to Fuse 42. Have any of you guys ever been in an LED volume before? All right, excellent. Did you have any idea that we had an LED volume in the middle of Times Square? No. Well, we do. We are Fuse Technical Group, and you can see that we are not very good at Keynote, but we are very, very good at LED volumes. That is the very big difference between what we do. My name is Shelly Sable, and I am New York-based, and this is Mitch. We have one microphone, too. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. Mitchel Lathrop. I'm the Director of Virtual Production at Fuse Technical Group. Together, we make up a team of people that are building LED volumes for other clients. We set up pop-up LED volumes, and we also have in-house LED volumes, this being one of them here. This volume is more focused on education. We have one in Long Island that's a partnership, and we also have two that we're about to open in Los Angeles.
Excellent. And can we go to the next slide, please? What is Fuse 42, you ask? Next slide. It's an XR and virtual production in Times Square. That's what we do here. But the thing about us doing XR and virtual production in this very, very small space is that we also look at what we are doing here at Fuse 42 as being much more about community. And you are our second group of people that we have had in our newly inaugurated seats. And a lot of what we're trying to do here in this location is bringing attention to virtual production, specifically on the East Coast.
To kind of prove to the industry that this is something that is, well, it is going to change how filmmaking, or it is changing how filmmaking is happening. But getting to that point, because it's kind of re-educating everyone in the production command line there of, financing and all these other components. It's, moving buckets of money from post-production to actual production and bringing crew that's normally in post-production into on-set, and helping the artists are actually on-set in real time making decisions rather than after the fact.
Okay, so we want to talk about the three things that are in this room that create this virtual production environment. It's an LED screen, a tracked camera, and a game engine.
Right. Okay, so we're going to do a quick deep dive on this. So the LED volume, or volumetric LED arrays, are made up of these individual LED tiles. If you go look on the back afterwards, you can see that each of these has a little backpack and brain, and they're like Legos. We can build these in almost any configuration, and almost as much compute power as we have. The largest ones that we've done have been like 24 4K outputs, or I think maybe we've hit 32 actually, of continuous. That's a lot of LED walls. So like imagine this if it's a huge 280-degree circle plus a high-resolution screen plus additional fuller panels. That's kind of the high-end what's going on.
Like the Mandalorian, which Fuse built.
Yes.
We're gonna talk really, really quickly about camera tracking while they're getting themselves set up.
Right. So this is what you're seeing is the output, the technical output of the Red Spy system. So this camera here, well, if we kind of look, we can see there's a bunch of white dots on the ceiling. Those are infrared reflective dots, and those dots are aligned in a constellation. And this device here is beaming infrared light up into the ceiling and then looking at where the reflections are. So you can see as I move my hand and disturb this, you can see how the inner frustum is freaking out a little bit. So basically the camera, this camera on a camera, is looking up there and running a calculation and figuring out where that camera is placed in real time in the context of the Unreal scene. And then, so imagine that instead of having a video game controller and you're steering the video game controller around, this is controlling those same handles inside of the video game. So
we're going to show you now how all of this works together in this actual scene. So Jesse's going to move the camera around and show us this thing. Now you're probably asking yourself, why is there a giant wall of LED and a square moving around on the screen? So a lot of that is about we'll talk about the parallax.
Yeah. Well, so this moving around, this frame is exactly what sees. If you look at the monitor over here on the side, this is the inner frustrum, and so this is using the camera tracking data inside of Unreal, and so the camera is, this is what the camera sees. And so we often, or what we are usually doing is a higher compute power goes into rendering these images here. And you can see we can move on to talk about the outer frustrum, which is this area. And you can see that it's a little bit more out of focus. And the primary job of what the outer frustrum is to deal with lighting and reflection. So dynamic lighting and reflective capability. You can look at the garbage.
Or us, look how pink we are.
Yeah. So, and if for things like The Mandalorian or other things where there's really shiny elements in the scene, there's a huge cost savings in post-production to not have to paint out all the green and all the reflective surfaces. That we proved this on Murder on the Orient Express when all the wood in the train was very shiny, and one of the crew members said, why can't we just do this on green? Why are we doing all this stuff? And we're like, put green up on the LED wall, and then all of a sudden all the silverware, the glasses, everything reflective was then green, which would have been very expensive to paint out at the time. Okay.
So what's happening now, like they're moving, we're showing you back and forth. So what we've done is by bringing this garbage in to the scene, we're actually putting something into the foreground aside from just people, so that as the camera is moving, parallax is happening. It's actually, if you guys can take a look at the monitors, we have one over here. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened to this monitor. But if you take a look in the monitor, actually, this is what your the final image is what we're trying to show you.
In addition, on this outer frustrum, we can also put in light cards or other light elements. So this is something that we add in as a layer on top of, and you can see here how this affects the lighting on the stage. So the outer frustrum, or the area of the screen that's not being seen by the camera, is used for a lot of practical applications. We've seen other places where people have thrown metadata and other things up on here as well to make use of the screen time.